and to see all of those who are also online on YouTube. We're really delighted to be here. We haven't, we last week, of course, you got a chance to hear Dr. Zizwe Poe, and it was very interesting, very powerful. In fact, I was in Cameroon, and the people in Yaoundé told me that they were watching it. So I was very happy. In fact, one of our great Pan Africanists, Cher Tidiane Gadio, who is a member of the Parliament of Senegal, said that he was watching the entire thing and that he was very, very impressed with what we're doing here at the Molefi-Kete Asante Institute for Afrocentric Studies. I was very happy to see him in Yaoundé. Let me just say that it is really beautiful to see those of you who have come again. Our next lecture will be held on November the 13th, and that will be with Dr. Jabali Ade. He will be speaking on November the 13th. And I just want you to know that the movement, the Afrocentric movement, is going around the world. We're going to have a symposium here in January with professors from South Africa who will be coming to Philadelphia to study at the Institute. So we're looking forward to them. We're preparing for them now. And we will also be having other symposia and meetings. Certainly we'll be discussing the ancient Egyptian language, be preparing you for your travels to Egypt, those of you who would be going with us in next year. So all these things are happening. We're very excited about them. But I want you just to know one thing, that as the founder of the theory of Afrocentricity, that Afrocentricity is not it's not a negative ideology or philosophy. It is actually for all oppressed people. The idea is that we have to center ourselves in order to act out of our own sense of agency. We all have to do that. But in doing that, we don't act against people. There is no sense of that. We act only against things that are evil: oppression, white racial supremacy, domination, ruthless capitalism that is destroying people. We work against those things, but not against people. And that's important to understand, because if you don't understand that, you'll make a terrible mistake in terms of trying to understand the role of Afrocentricity. When I started in 1979 to write the book Afrocentricity, and then the books that came after that, The Afrocentric Idea, Kemet, Afrocentricity and Knowledge, Malcolm X as Cultural Hero and Other Afrocentric Essays, and African Pyramids of Knowledge, the Afrocentric Manifesto, I was trying to lay out a philosophy that would be positive and would be based on the culture that was fundamental to African people who first gave the world civilization. Not only, sometimes we say human beings began on the continent of Africa. That's true. But human civilization began on the continent of Africa as well. So all these things are positive, they're valuable, and we should all respect them, and we should all have that sense. It's very difficult sometimes for people to understand that you can be Afrocentric without being anti-anybody. And that's a very, very powerful thing, to be Afrocentric and understand that you are not against people for this reason or that reason or the other reason. You're an Afrocentric person. That's the positive nature of our philosophy. That's who we are. That's what we stand for. And that's what we have always stood for. So I just want to remind people of that. And I think that from time to time I will I will be talking about this because culture is the key. We want people to have the proper understanding of culture. Culture is not just what we call popular music and dance. Culture is your frame of reference. Culture is how you live your life. What are your values? What are your virtues? What are the things that make you who you are, and so forth, and so on. So this is important for us to know, and for us to do. So I'm overly happy to be here. I'm very happy to have been in Cameroon, where I gave the keynote presentation to the new African Thought Conference. And I want to publicly thank His Excellency Charles Bynum Bicol for the great work that he did at the Yaoundé Conference. And I want to also thank him and Dr. John Beam for the Legacy, Living Legacy Award that they gave to me and Dr. Theophil Obenga. That was a wonderful honor, one of the great honors I've ever received. So I want to thank His Excellency. Also, I want to give praise to those of you who have always come to the Malefic Ete Asante Institute, and those of you who came immediately after we said, okay, we're opening up and we can have our meetings now. So we're very, very, very appreciative of that. And we want to thank certainly the board members of the organization. I want to thank Dr. Jabali for being our speaker on November the 13th, and all of you who are here. And one other thing I want to mention, because some of you may know, some of you don't know, but my great friend and brother Charles Fuller passed away a few weeks ago. He's the author of A Soldier's Play and the movie A Soldier's Story. And yesterday we had his memorial at the Church of the Advocate, and I was asked to give a small reflection, which I did. And I'm so happy that his wife, Claire, is here with us today, and also her son, Kamal, who is visiting with us today. They're wonderful people, and Charles and Claire came here actually when we opened up the doors. When we opened up these doors, they were here. So we really are really happy and pleased to see her. We are fortunate today. We're fortunate because we have one of the people who has made history. In the last 20 years, she made history when she first came out of Sudan, and her name is Hawa Salih. And Hawa Salih is she's a daughter of Sudan. She is a daughter of Darfur. She is an activist, international humanitarian. She's worked in the humanitarian field since she's come out of Sudan. She struggled to come out. She went through many, many situations. We are very proud of her. We're very happy for her to be here as a speaker. She's a social activist and a social justice advocate, always for women's rights and the rights of the oppressed people of the world. She is also recently a financial advocate. But we're most delighted that this sister, who is from the great country of Sudan, is here and will give us a presentation now. Please, Hawa, come to the
Thank you so much, Dr. Malufi Santi, and it's always a pleasure to be here. And definitely, sometimes for the last 5 days, I was feeling like this seasonal cold and all of that. So, and I was like, hey, Dr. Malufi Santi, always when I came, he said, hey, if you want to be successful, whatever takes, show up and wake up early and go to the bed late. So that was like the philosophy from Dr. Malufi Santi, and I was so grateful and thank you for your leadership and thank you for all you do. And I just want to remember too as well too. So this one is a memory for the last almost 10 years. Um, I want to show the. Okay, thank you so much again, and we just been really appreciative for this center, um, for the educational purpose and the liberational, opportunity for all of us, and the most importantly, the connection that this center making among the African nation, whatever across the world, and this is so. Um, okay. So this one, the 10 years ago when I came to this country, and Dr. Malufi Santi has a celebration as well too, when the South Sudan, which is our younger generation, our youngest nation, in the African continents. So they had their own liberation and their own freedom for their own country, which is the 2012. This is the 2011, and this is also 2012. So that was the South Sudan ambassador and Dr. Molufi Santi and all of that. We definitely being celebrated. And when I came to this country, I came through the South Sudan citizenship. So I came as the South Sudanese citizenship. So that's why it was like the Sudanese government was rejected to give me any type of paper. And also they been committed the crimes against my people, against my people as well too, and so they never allow me to come by my own the Sudanese name. So that's I came through the South Sudanese passport as well to the South Sudanese documents and the South Sudanese name, and how it is amazing is that now as an African nation we can be as sisters, as a as a family, and as all of us for being connected, and now so we can go to the Africa without having a passport and all of that. So now our people, when they came to South Sudan, they go into Uganda, they go into most of the African country without having any border passport as well too. And this is really grateful for all of us. So as Dr. Malufi Santi said, for being a human rights and activist, and for being a humanitarian from where I came from, where women is like so hard for women to be a leader in the community, your voice is actually as a risk. Your voice is always like a weapon. If you raise your voice, you are like you are just like a shooting people, because the voice is really being danger to raise up in Sudan, and especially um, under the leadership of the dictatorship leadership, where for the last almost 35 years, the same president who been committed the crimes in Darfur, committed the crimes for over 25 years in South Sudan, the same person who committed crimes against the Nubian, the same person who committed crimes against Nuba Mount and the Balloon Island, all of that. So being a woman is being seriously being so challenged in my entire life. But that kind of challenge is giving us a strength as well too. So because of that challenge, you always build your strength and your muscles to be more stronger. And that was the way I definitely learned to build my muscles. So if they say you're danger, you build your muscles. If you say you can't do it, you build your muscles. If you say nowhere for you to raise your voice, you build your muscles, and find the different ways to have a voice. Always your voice, such what we are looking for, and especially for a freedom. Freedom is all we are fighting for, and this is the number one value for each human being. And without the freedom, is definitely there's no life. So because of the freedom, you can definitely agree to put it your own life and your salt just for freedom. So this is what I believe, that freedom is such a gift we should fight for. We should die because of it. Or we should live because of freedom. Um, and I'm being in the state here for almost last 10 years when I came to receive the International Women of Courage. Um, so this is me. As you can see, I born and raised in Darfur, and which is that's the Eastern Sudan. And Sudan is mean Sud. Sud is mean black. So it means Sudan is the heart of Africa. And Sudan is a land of Sud, land of black people. And for over decades, Sudan has been faced this challenge of for being gone through a lot of colonials, including the Europe colonials, including the Arab colonials, including the Islamic revolution that's been replaced the African cultures, the African language, and the African people, lands, and all of that. During all this challenge, we're just growing up and find ourselves like among the challenge. There is no peace, there is no justice, and there is no freedom. Even you guys are the owner of the land, but you still have no freedom. You're owner, but then you are like a guest. And that was the most challenging time, the generation that have to think like, do we have to stay there? Do we have to believe this is the end of our life? Or we have to fight? There is no way then. It's just two way. We just have to fight. If you just have to fight, then you have to get out. That's why the South Sudanese people from over 25 years been fighting for their revolution, fighting for their voice, fighting for their identity. When the Arab, there was the last, civilization in Sudan. Arab being replacing in African people and African identity by Arab identity and the Arab language, the Arab culture, the everything Arab. Then the African real languages, real identity has been destroyed. So then people have no choice here. The choice only to fight. When the people start fighting for their freedom, fighting for their identity, then the government of Sudan and the alliance train those all type of militia. So in Darfur, the first militia they been trained is called Janjaweed. So those Janjaweed, I believe the last time Tugu mentioned about those Janjaweed. But they trained the militia of those Arab militia and then come and carry the heavy genocide against the African nation. So being killed it whole, like we are here today to kill all of you. We are here to clean this land. This is the same thing happened when the land of Sudan is the African land and being occupied by Arab, and now then their languages, their cultures being replaced with our own cultures. So then we have no way. It was being so crazy tough for almost 50 years for the generation in Sudan. And this is not just in Sudan. It's the same situation happening to the so many nations in Africa as well too. The colonials that's happening is being now eating the African cultures and the African language inside. So For the generation like us, there is no way. You just have to fight. You have to raise your voice and you have to do it. There is no way. So in 2003, and that was I was 15 years old, when my village attacked, and so many people, over 400,000 people being killed ethnically, and those are African nations. So the rest of the people who are being survived, they forced to become a refugee in the camp. So me and a few of my family member and the nation, we survived to becoming the refugee as a camp. That's why I survived. So we survived and I was in the camp. How crazy tough the life to be in the camp. Young people have no home, have no house, while you being the king and the queen of the land. Then you have no language again. What is started again, the Arabic language replaced all the African language. The Arab culture replaced the African culture. We do have so many wonderful culture. And then our cultures also being forced because the education system as well too is decline the old African identity and African culture as well too. So only the one way to focus Arabic, they will be teach Arabic, and then the Arabic being replaced all other cultures and all other languages. It's been crazy tough. And then top of that also, those who were forced to become as a refugee, this is I just talking about a small part in Sudan. Darfur even is just the population is a France, population is a France size. So Darfur is a France size, but then this is just the one small part who's been going through all this suffer and challenge from the same regime, which is the same issue has been happening in South Sudan before the South Sudan get their own independence. The same issue has been going on in the Nuba Mount, and the same issue going to the east-west, which is all part of Sudan. But those are all African indigenous people who have been continuing to suffer and suffer and suffer. Most of those issues is been never been raised, especially for women. So women has been kings and the queens and kush, being the kandaka and all of that. So the kandaka and the queen, they be in the heart of the family. If you are destroyed the heart of the family, it means you destroyed the whole community. So what they did, the government in Sudan, they used raping women as a weapon. So that is a crazy weapon to destroy the whole community. And that was being the crazy part one, which it will never forget. We will never forget that part of stuff. So, but then we have more because there is a future as well too. The challenge and the genocide and the struggle and all of that is also telling us the lessons. You have to be ready. Have to keep fight. Have to keep giving your voice up. There is no way for people to get silent. So many of those who have happened after, so they have to go and create the movements of fighting for freedom. So we have so many people now, they're still fighting for freedom. They're still fighting the government for the almost even now so many years, decades. But they still have to fight because we still have to succeed as well too. So even we have so beautiful cultures. This is me, and we have a very powerful days which we used to celebrate. Wednesday was one of the huge celebration day for the African nation. Before now, the Islamic fundamental has been changed even the day to people to celebrate. Before Wednesday is for African Nation Day. We have to celebrate. We have to pray the way we want to pray, and how we believe in our God. that the way because we've been very natural. So my grandparents, all of them, they used to believe in the mountains, believe in the nature, believe in all of that. But then the Wednesday was a huge part because we have to cook, we have to celebrate, we have to have all our very original jewelry. That was more expensive than diamond and silver and all of that. But then that day has been replaced with a Friday. The Friday is the Islamic day. So being ended up, you mean being destroyed our Wednesday, and then replace it with a Friday. So we also have our Mother International Women Language Day, which is the Mother Tongue Day. So I speak four language, which is my mother tongue. But then when I was school, the teacher every day beating me in front of so many students. Like, you can't speak your own language. You have just to speak Arabic. Yeah, because we've been forcing to do that. The same way also, they've been forcing the people who believe in the different religions to not believe it, to not practice. That was being so crazy. And I still believe that my Wednesday is only the day I pray. I pray so hard. It was Wednesday. I still asking for my grandparents who have been passed away. I still remember. I still revealing your day, and I'm still here practicing your day Wednesday as your day, and I never forget that day as well too. So Wednesday is my huge day in my life, and I always give a prayer back to the Wednesday, like, we still remember you, and we'll never forget our day, and still reveal it and still celebrate. So Wednesdays, I'm celebrating all the time. So this is when I came to the United States here, and I received the International Women of Courage, and I believe that. So my story is just one of the million story, the women in Africa and in Sudan, especially for those who are facing all this challenge, and a challenge to making sure they still have their identity, challenge of fighting for freedom, challenge for peace, challenge just to believe and to be who they are, and to be in their own land. And when I came to United States here to receive the international, I was being so lucky, not just lucky for being here, but I being lucky because to survive. For being an activist, I gone through a lot of challenge in my own life by the government of Sudan. I was sentenced twice, and I was arrested like so many times, like 4 or 5 times. And I believe that the freedom has to pay a price. There is no free freedom. Is freedom and free? No, we have to pay the price. And I always been believing, being freedom, you have to pay a price. So and the sweet part is to pay price, because you can feel it like, ooh, I'm doing so good. So if you're not doing good, there is no one asking you. And I believe last time Dr. Malufi Santi, when he was spoke up about George Floyd, he paid a price, but he never worried about the price because he has a goal, he has a mission. The mission has accomplished. So never thinking about the reaction about what's happening. Some people have a reaction, but when you have a goals, you have a mission, you always your eyes in the mission. And we're so proud as well too. So what you do, we learned a lesson from you as well. And yeah, and being coming here is another chapter as well too. And I feel like, yes, there is so many people still waiting my voice. And when I was young, I went to go to law school and I become a lawyer. So when I came to this country, I was like, oh yes, this is my chance. And my chance to go to law school and become a lawyer, so I can have a big voice, and those who are being, uh, you know, tortured me for so many times, and killed my family and my people for all so long these years, and I will definitely be able to hold them accountable. And that was still the mission. But being here and working full time to have this balance is challenge as well too. And I believe so many people may have the same challenge. And but I believe, still believe the education is a big tools for for change. And education is the number one something that we all have to definitely encourage our young people to have their own education. And I believe that, and it's still fighting for education for young people, especially for girls. In the community, we believe that the women are the heart of our community. Without the education of the women, if we're just taking care of the men education, without taking care of the girl education and the women empowerment, definitely there is no community. So I believe the empowerment of community is the heart of the women education and women empowerment as well too. And as I mentioned, the struggle is the struggle of millions. But then we're here at least to have that kind of plan for a future. And we're still thinking like future is definitely bright for those who are keep giving us a voice, like Dr. Molufia Santi, and what so many of you doing as well too. Just keep doing it. And I never believe I survive one day, uh, but because the people give a voice to the people, so I been survive. So the first time when I was sentenced to death, and I been just fighting, I never thinking about the religious and all of that. I been fighting, really giving a voice for the people who are really suffer and have no voice. And the government is recognizing me. This lady is danger for the states, Sudan, and is danger for the religious Islam. And so I was sentenced to death. They hold me a Bible in my chest, and then they said this lady, she converting Muslim to Christianity, and in Islam this is the evidence, so they can kill you as soon as possible. So I was still just waiting for a day to be killed. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm here, I'm not die. People keep asking me, are you really survive, are you here? Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. So, but the people of Pittsburgh, that's I'm so appreciative for Pennsylvania at the state. Pennsylvania also survived my life. So when I was there, the people of Pittsburgh raised their voice about me. So many humanitarian group and human rights groups are lobby, and 7 member of Pennsylvania here, 7 member of Pennsylvania House Speaker. They wrote a letters to the U.S. Department, and that was so amazing, and I was survived. So that's the letters and all the speaking up a lobby and all of that. I was survived. So and I'm still asking my family, all of you, especially Black community, to at least let us connect it. There is so many things happening in Africa. We need your voice, and we need you to know what's happening as well too. And we all here as a family now. So now I feel like I have 2 homes, and I have 2 parents, you know, and definitely 2 parents. So we have to fight for different continents as well too. But Africa is our roots, so we have to take care of our roots too, right? And and especially for women, we need more voice in our community to encourage our young girls to have a better future as well too. Without that, is going to be less. And I also just want to mention for being a woman, how challenge they facing in their daily life. You see, women dependent to at least to have a better life. So they're working so hard. It's hurting their body even. It's not legal even. But because there was no access to any opportunity, there is no access even to the education. That's why women are going through all this challenge. I believe this is just a small part in Africa, But the most of the part in Africa, they still going through the same challenge as well too. Education as well too. You can feel embarrassed. The country has no education system. You know, those kids, those are future kids, generation. They're teaching them under trees, teaching them under no umbrella and nothing. That was so crazy. Yeah, I guess this is one of the, I just concluded and then said, yeah, I now definitely I'm here, and we truly want all of us as a African nation to work together. What we can do for each other, what we can do here to raise the issue in Africa home back, what we could really do that's make difference and change people's life to better at least. Have a vision as well too. And at least my vision, I definitely want to educate the community here, at least the 10, 10 to, for the 10,000, 10 million people for the next 5 years, and 100 million people through financial education, because we believe that community also being left in behind. When the community left behind, it's not an easy as well to people to have time to think about the roots, and at least also to help those families and individual who's been left in behind at West to protect themselves, protecting themselves, protecting their assets, know at least those financial concept, how to handle, and at least how to have a financial better future as well too. And one of my big vision as well too, education for the young girls in Africa. So what we can do together at least to support the education for women and for young girls in the village in Africa. And I will definitely will be open for any questions. But thank you, appreciate it for your leadership, Doc, and always.
All right. Thank you so much for that presentation. You're receiving a lot of love on YouTube as well.
Thank you.
As they send questions in on the chat online, is there anyone who has questions in person? Yes?
That's a very inspiring lecture, and through this institute, we're learning more and more about Sudan and Darfur and the whole situation there. Are there a lot of Sudanese trying to escape from Sudan, and if they are, where are they going?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There is over, special for Darfur. There is over 2.5 million Darfuri who just escaped legally to different African countries, including Israel, including Europe, and in addition to over 187 different IDPs camp, which is the internal displacement camp. So those who are refugees, the refugees, those who are into their country border to the different country. The internal displacement people, those who are still in the country. So there is in Sudan, there is over 187 different internal displacement camp. In addition to those who are over 2.5 million who are just cross borders to different country. Including in the United States here, we have a huge big numbers of the immigrants, special Darfuri and the Sudanese, those who are, all of them being forced to become by force, because they have no options, and they're here for opportunity and the safety for their parents and the safety for their family as well too. But yeah, there's a huge number for sure. Huge, yeah.
Yes, thank you for being here. I'm glad Dr. Malefe brought this to our attention. And I was just wondering, how could we as Americans help our people over there.
There is so many ways. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. There is so many ways. Yeah, definitely. Together we can do for a home back. You can have a voice here, whatever voice you can give it. Some people give it a humanitarian voice. Some people put it the education. Some people like what's happening, documenting the crimes and all of that. But there is so many ways differently. So what we able to do for the last almost 10 years since I've been here, also Dr. Malufi Santi, he's been so active with Congress and lobbying and meetings with UN Security Council and the UN and all of that. So there is so many ways. Please do whatever you can do it. And there is so many African diaspora in the community. We can connect as well too with that opportunity. We really want to come to you guys close as well too. There is any community event, we're ready to speak up to, because you are our family as well too. We have to speak up to you to know what's happening home back, so at least you can have your roles as well too. This definitely the responsibility for all of us. Thank you. Yes.
The people in charge of Sudan right now are they Arab people who came to Sudan from another country to try to take it over, or could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Sure. Sudan, historically, as I said, Sudan is an African country, but Sudan has gone through a lot of colonials, and including intra-Arab colonials as well too, and those who are still in power, they are Sudanese, but their mind is Arab. They're Sudanese, but their mind is Arab. So and you can see the leader who is black, but then it is the translating himself as Arab. The mind is somebody else's mind, and that's why the liberation for the people is such important. The people to be liberated, but we're still fighting for the Africa to go back to Africa, Sudan to go back to Africa. And that is a mission. Is a mission for the generation, and we have been dying for that mission. We keep struggle for that mission, but we never give up. And let's do that and know deep. Yeah, I love you can know deep, definitely. Go ahead and study more. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, let me just see if anything came in from the chat. Okay, yes. As we know, the situation in Sudan is terrible, especially for those who are living in camps since 2003. My question for you as an activist is, what is your vision for them sooner, not later?
Definitely the vision is always been and will be always been forever. The freedom is a mission, and then is a vision in the end, and also the peace for those who are really still struggle. They definitely need peace, and the short-term goals that definitely people need now. They need a humanitarian. That's what we call all the UN Security Council and the United States government, which have a big influence in this. People still need a humanitarian. The government of Sudan in 2008, 2009, they expelled by force all the non-profits and the humanitarian organization that been providing foods and all the services to the people. There is no longer any organization in the field. So we're definitely asking people and not asking the United States special and the UN Security Council, at least the humanitarians should go back to serve the people in the ground, including the security of the people who are every day keep facing the same. The Janjaweed is still committing the crimes of raping and killing and torturing and all of that. So and this is crazy as well too, and then the long term definitely peace for those is the number one. Justice as well is also the vision is the number one, and those who have committed crimes, those who have committed a crime should face justice, and the victim should definitely, revealed. Imagine for those who are born in the camps today, 17 years. They already adult, 17 years, even with being baby, they today 17 years. They been born in the refugee camp, which is there is not good home, there is no service, there is no light, there is nothing, there is no internet. Like now we have a light and the internet and all of that. Definitely that is the vision, and we keep fighting until we will win, and we will win for sure. It's no doubt. We're asking everyone to keep involved, please, and raise a voice.
Well, thank you so much. Let's give her another round of applause. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And we want to thank Toyosi for just being so helpful for us. Thank you so much, because she keeps us on time and with the YouTube. Let me just make one comment, and that is that because sometimes it's not quite understood, and appreciate Howard so much for her conversation with us. But the crux of the matter in Sudan is both cultural, but it's also material and economic. There is the reason her village of Kilma was destroyed and burned down was because the Arabized government wants Arab people to take over the agricultural lands. You see, so there's an economic base to this. This is the people have their lands, they have their farms, they have their situations, and so it's a how do we get this land from these black people? How do we take this land from these black people? And we have to, much like in the States, in the South, where I grew up, you have to run black people off their farms so you can take them. You scare them. You make the Ku Klux Klan, and the jangleweed is the Ku Klux Klan. You put on masks or whatever, and you ride horses, and you run the people off their villages. You see, so that's the situation in Sudan. It is it's the imposition of the Arab culture, but it's also the imposition, the forced imposition of the power of the people to steal the land of the people who own the land. You see, that's very important to remember, because they would prefer to, in fact, bring people who are from Arabia or other places and settle them on the African lands, you see, after they have moved the people off those lands. That's just a point of reference. I want to thank you very much. Remember, on November the 13th, we have Dr. Jabali Ade. We call upon our ancestors, far and near, the mother of our mothers, the father of our fathers, to render mercy and to bear witness for the liberation and the victory of all oppressed people forever. It is done. Asante Sana. Please congratulate Sister Hawa. Thank you very much.